like my brothers and sisters were a bit shocked, but you know, they accepted the decision, and I think it's a bit harder for my mother to handle because of the fact that I do come from a Jewish background. My mom is fashionable, and it's very hard to see me covered because she thinks I'm a young woman and that I shouldn't be hiding myself. So for my mother, I'm hiding myself, and it doesn't make sense, you know. And this is the time where, you know, I should be looking for a husband, and well, what man's going to marry me now? So it's, you know, there's so many layers to it, but it's, you know, it's a struggle, and inshallah, you know, she'll come to accept it, you know, with time.
Not all the stories of women who cover are negative. The opportunity to pursue a postdoctorate degree in computers came up for Huda Fahmy while she was on maternity leave from IBM. Special accommodations were made for Huda, making it possible for her to devote time to both her family and research.
She had this scholarship that was offered to her before she took the job with IBM, and she had just sort of let it sit there and sort of simmer. She decided to take that up and to pursue the postdoc, and she did that. We both looked at it as something that, you know, she could sort of further develop her skills and her knowledge and her career, and when she came back, she'd be even more valuable to us.
It didn't act as a barrier for too long. As soon as they acknowledged that I was competent in my job, and our dealings with each other were, you know, of the technical nature, we had a very smooth relationship.
She had a lot of people who had went to the same school, people that sort of had run into her, so I think she just sort of came and fit right in and just sort of started producing right away. I think the thing that sort of came through in her case was that she's extremely quick, very, very bright, and she has a really good sense of humor, something that just sort of set apart from everybody else.
That fasting is a shield from the hellfire.
Zahra Fido coordinates classes for Muslims with hearing disabilities.
In most cases, as a matter of fact, the hijab has been a benefit and a good impact on the things that I wanted to do. For example, when I was learning sign language, I attended a night class, 3 times a week, and I had many members of the classroom come up to me and tell me how I have such a high self-respect for myself and such a high self-esteem, and that they felt so comfortable being with me at all times, which made me really feel good, because I never thought that they would actually come up and say such things. But it amazed me that these non-Muslims had actually respect for me because I was wearing hijab and I was obeying the rules of my religion.
Each year, thousands of non-Muslim women embrace Islam as their way of life. Many more Muslim women return to their spiritual roots and begin observing hijab. In major urban centers, women in hijab has become a common sight, and yet cases of discrimination and hatred against them continue.
Covering and uncovering is just relative to who's looking at it. And, you know, the uncovering can be looked at in the same manner as covering, in the sense that you're being forced to uncover yourself. You don't have a choice in the matter. You have to do it if you want to be a part of this society.
Don't assume just because I'm wearing a hijab that I am a foreigner. Don't assume that I can't speak English. Don't assume that I'm any less intelligent than a woman not wearing a hijab, because those are all stereotypes and those are all misconceptions. And in order for you to have an understanding of me, you need to understand the hijab and understand why I'm wearing it.
We have not been knowledge producers about ourselves. Knowledge has been produced about us from a frame of reference that is external to Islam and to our way of knowing ourselves and our identities. And so I think it's important to start to challenge and rupture the stereotypes that have been circulating for so long, and to start to create alternative knowledge about Muslim women.
I think there also has to be a mutual respect on both sides, because I think that often people think dialogue means that one side will accept the other side's view, and that's not at all the case, because dialogue means coming to an understanding despite holding our own individual opinions.
North American society, which claims to value the liberation of women and to respect women, if they're going to be true to their words, then they should accord that to all women and not assume that Muslim women are this way and that way and discriminate against them for a choice that we've made, which may be different from the norm.
They say, oh poor girl, you're so beautiful, you know. It's a shame that you cover up your beauty so. She just smiles and graciously responds reassuringly. This beauty that I have is just a simple part of me. This body that I have, no stranger has a right to see. These long clothes, this shawl I wear, ensure my modesty. Faith is more essential than fashion, wouldn't you agree? This hijab, this mark of piety, is an act of faith, a symbol for all the world to see. A simple cloth to preserve her dignity. So lift the veil from your heart to see the heart of purity. They tell her, girl, don't you know this is the West and you are free? You don't need to be oppressed, ashamed of your femininity. She just shakes her head and she speaks so assuredly. See the billboards and the magazines that line the checkout aisles with their phony painted faces and their airbrushed smiles. Well, their sheer clothes and low-cut gowns, they are really not for me. You call it freedom, and I call it anarchy. And this hijab, this mark of piety, is an act of faith, a symbol for all the world to see. A simple cloth to preserve her dignity. So lift the veil from your heart to see the heart of purity. Lift the veil from your heart to see the heart of purity. Lift the veil from your heart and seek the heart of purity.